Okay, zone of interest thoughts. Um, let's just go with what I liked. Most of the film, the dog. I really liked the dog in the film, Delia. I think the dog's name is. It starts with a D, like Dilia. Um, just the appearance of the dog. She's a beautiful black coat, skinny waist on the dog, and the cute behavior from him. I guess maybe the dog is quite. It's a young dog, and I guess I'll go with the dog's whiny. There's a scene where the wife is. She walks up, to the bedroom and she closes the door, and the dog scratches the paws on the door and whines. She wants to go in with her. The dog's attached to her, and it makes sense. Probably the person the dog spends the most with in the home is the wife. It's the wife of this gentleman that runs the camp, and it's cute when she's walking through the house and the dog follows her, follows her here, follows her there. That was a sweet little detail I liked, and so yeah, let's get to the main point, right? It's about the head honcho, right? The big boss, the gentleman that runs the camp, the concentration camp, and what do you call his family, right? He lives on Auschwitz. That's the camp, Auschwitz concentration camp, right? Very infamous camp. You probably have heard the name of. It's his family that live in, I guess, sort of the zone of interest, so to speak, right? And we got a shot where the mom has come to visit the daughter at the house, at the family house here outside the camp, and she's walking through her garden. She's showing her garden, and she mentions, there was just a field over here, and then out by the house in front there was a small little low garden, she says. But with her touch, she has truly transformed this garden area into something beautiful. And the garden is beautiful. She's got a lot of different plants and herbs, flowers everywhere. There's even a scene where the husband has to go away. This is the important part, I guess, the second film, when he has to go away. That he gets a promotion from some higher up guy, and this guy says, "Hey, I've heard, I was told that your wife sends flowers from the garden at the house every week for you to enjoy," and he confirms that yes, she does. What else was cool? And my friend, he caught this. I didn't catch this in the dialogue, but he caught this, that apparently the mom and daughter were discussing, among other things, like one of the topics was sort of the ode of why do you worship the Nazi ideology, right? It's not that different than the communism, or you worship it, sort of. I didn't catch this, but they told me that they caught this sort of connection with the mother and grandma talking in that one particular scene. Another thing I like with the film were the servants around, right? And I guess they're Jewish. They probably are Jewish servants. And then, there's a part when the father, he has company come over to his home, his residence. And one of the gentlemen, he removes his shoes. And soon after this, a man comes out, takes his shoes up, takes them around to this tap at the side of the home. And when he's cleaning them, he's he's washing the blood, so to speak, right off the shoes, the grime off the shoes. Another scene I thought was cute was he's got 5 children, actually. He's got 2 girls, 2 boys, a baby. They might specify the gender, and I didn't catch it. I must have missed it, maybe. That the son has a girlfriend, right? The son's maybe about 13, 12, 14. He's like young adolescent, and he's in that stage of early puberty, right? And he's got a little girlfriend with him, and they're kissing up on each other in that same spot where that man was just washing those boots. This doesn't happen exactly one scene after the other. It's later in the film. That's another thing I like about this film. I like the lingering shots. I like we stay put somewhere for a while. And the angles, there's no curved angles. There's sharp frame here. We see the subject walking, in the distance, and we get another still frame where they're walking up forward, right? Especially in the stair scene when the husband is walking down the stairs. He called his wife and he told her about, hey, I got this new promotion stuff with the Auschwitz. They're gonna build it back. The Hungarian government agreed to send lots of Jews. It's happening immediately. I'm putting back in charge of the operation, so I'll be there shortly. And he says, tell Daddy's coming home, and tell the kids. She asked him a question that I missed, and his response was like, I wasn't even focusing in that moment. I wasn't even thinking that. I was just like, cause he goes up to this balcony and this party scene where it's just everybody's there mingling, and he's just wandering around. I guess he's sort of bored, or maybe he's reminiscing. He's thinking about the plan of operations to come, and he goes up to this balcony, this terrace, and he looks down at the crowd, and the ceiling's so high, and he says to the wife, I was thinking, if I'm gonna gas these people, it'd be pretty difficult to do. The ceiling's too high. I have to be a shorter ceiling. I have to cut it down a little bit to make it more accommodating for that, for that to happen. Another thing that I liked in the film, I like when the mom, she leaves. So the mom came to visit the daughter, and we get the shot when she's sleeping in the room that, she looks out the window and she sees this chimney, this furnace in the distance where they're burning people, right? When they're burning bodies and stuff. And that's something that early in the film we get the blueprint scene where, the dad is being, or the dad husband, right? He's being told about a new efficient method or way, or like a structure. They're gonna build a new chimney, and it works fabulous. It's how it works, how it operates. It's got it's where you're gonna burn corpses and stuff. But anyway, back to the mom of the wife. She's like distraught about this. She gets up, looks at the window, sees the fire there, and then she goes back to her pillow, her bed, and she takes out like a handkerchief of some sort, and she dabs her eyes when she does this. And you can see it, and I like that, it's kind of off to the side, but you can see that she puts it up to her face as if to wipe away some tears, some mucus, because she's saddened by that sight, and because she knows what's going on. I guess she writes the letter to say, hey, I didn't like that, this was happening, and I like live in your house, and you live right next to this, horrible thing that's going on. And so I guess the mom maybe is a critical figure, and that's when my friend caught that she's talking about the parallel, like, why you work, you're anti-communist, but you also like the system you're living under isn't kind of similar to like that. What else? She finds the letter, and she puts the letter like in the furnace, like she reads it, and she puts it there, and she goes back to eat her breakfast. And one of the servant girls, the wife says to her, hey, did you leave? Because they had a plate there for the mom. It was her and the mom's breakfast ready on the table for them both. And she tells her, hey, was that put there to spite me? And she's puzzled, she's taken back, because no, and it definitely wasn't, right? The inclination that it was put there intentionally was not it. And no, the food we didn't know she had left. Nobody did. We're just as surprised as you that she took off. She's not here anymore. So I like that, and she tells this young girl, and we see it. She's very young, right? The servant girl, very young servant girl. My father and my husband could, make you into ashes, right? She said, I don't remember the exact phrase, but it's something along the lines of like, my husband can kill you, bitch. Ashes, you ashed up. Don't trifle with me here. But she's upset, and so she takes she has this ode of importance. Her husband's the head honcho. She's upset. Then I guess she uses that as a bargaining chip, right, in that regard, or like to abuse, right? So that's what it is it? It's just she's being abusive to the hired help, because she's not gonna abuse him. She can't abuse this person, but she can abuse them, right? It's and what else I was thinking? I just had it in my head. I just caught it. Another little tidbit that I like in the film. Well, maybe I'll remember it later after this. I like the daughter. One of the daughters, she wonders. I think it's because there's two daughters. One's smaller than the other one, so one's a little older, right? And the older daughter, she wonders. So she like sleepwalks basically. There's a scene where, and she's looking outside the window with the furnace. The husband's doing this routine, and they establish this like in the first, like basically in the kind of the opening of the film, close to that, where he's got the routine of turning off the lights in the home before he retires to the bed with the wife. And he's doing his routine, yet again, locking doors, locks the door to his office, and he turns the light out here, turns off the lamp here. And he sees the daughter sitting there, and she's looking at the furnace in the background burning, and he said, well, let me take her back. It's a normal thing. What are you doing here? Come on, let me walk you back up. And he walks her back up to her bedroom that she sleeps, that she shares with her sister. And they're reading the story, and this is when we get our first negative. I think that's what they call that type of look of film, or like photos, that negative shot. And because we're at night, right? We're at nighttime, and he's reading the story. I don't remember what the story was, a bedtime story, some sort of with a swans involved. So I think there's some symbolism there. But yeah, she's got the apples. And it starts with apples first. They're putting apples. This young girl, is putting apples in this like kind of like a trench. It looks, it's the ground all muddy, disturbed. It's a work site, and she's putting apples in it. Boom, 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 boom. And we get we get the gist of it, that it's for the workers, for the Jews that are in prison here. And there's even so we're going to jump here. So we got our second negative shot, because we only get two shots like this where they're negatives. And the second one is also when he's telling a bedtime story. And I like that how they have that connection with the bedtime story and the negative shots. Because in this negative shot, we get the same girl going around, looks like a quarry this time, and she's putting some pears, and this time it's not apples but it's pears. She's putting pears in wheelbarrows. She's putting them around the shovels. When the workers wake up and they go out here, they can see the apples and pears here for themselves. And she finds a tin with some music with paper in it, and we don't get that it's a music note yet, but like later, because we also get the scene where she's finished her round of doing this, and she's riding the bike around. And I guess this is the ode that it was happening. This was happening for real. This kid was really sneaking around, risking her life to feed these prisoners, to feed these Jewish people that are being held captive. Where she's riding her bike back to the home. And I got a little confused here with this, because there's a figure that sees her come to the house, and she opens the door for her. And to me, it appeared that it could have been the wife's mother, but also maybe not. I was a little confused with this. I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. If it was her daughter that was there, and that her daughter was doing this, and that grandma found out about it. But she's cool with it, but she passed the music thing, and we get the scene where she's taking the fire off, and we see the music, the sheet, and we see, the paper that was in that tin, sheet music. And then the next establishing shot, the girl's playing the piano chords on a piano, and the piano chord, I guess the music, it communicates, and it's clearly communicating a Jewish person talking about, like, hey, we're here. This is what's happening to us. We're being killed. Just so you know, if you're back home in the East, right? That's what they say, in the East, and you're wondering where so and so got taken to, what's happening to them? We're being fucking killed out here. So maybe there's a way to get it back, and deciphering the music to the message of like, it's a dire situation, right? Another thing I appreciated in the film was when the husband, was counting some money, spoils of war, right, so to speak, when he's like reading this letter, or he's like relaying this letter on this phone call or message on the line to someone, and while he's doing this, he's counting money, and he's like, I guess he's counting it, but also sorting. I think he sorts it first and then he counts it afterwards. He puts it back in a pile, like nice, neatly stacked by denominations. I like that scene, and we get some. We see there's some American currency there. There's like different currencies from different countries that are present on the table, and I told my friend this. I like the scene also because when he's in the office, there's this photo, this frame on the wall, in the frame of the wall that's got I guess what's his name, Hitler, right? He's got a frame of Hitler, but it's not a frame like straight face looking straight towards the camera, but rather to the side. And it even looks even more like, not only is he looking to the side, but he's looking a little off to the distance on the side. So he's really not looking at the frame at all, like to the camera at all. He's really just off somewhere, and I can't help but feel, there's maybe some symbolism with that. There's probably a lot of things in the film that are intentionally done as a sort of symbolic sort of ode to something, right? As I say that, I think, well, maybe also it's meant to be subjective and just sort of, piece it together as you will. I tell my friend this. In the film, we also get shots of like the color, like if we had the flower, for instance, in one shot. I think we get them like maybe 3 or 4 times. We get shots like these where the cuts to black, it fades to black, or like it'll fade to red or white. The color, some predominant color within the frame will become overwhelming to it eats up the whole frame, and that we only see that color, and we'll get like some ominous music, or like the audio will just cut abruptly. And I think with those scenes, they're meant to be thinking plots for the audience. Maybe the director put them in there for the audience to like ponder and think about what's happening on screen, what we're watching, what's going on, the present moment in the story. I think that's what it's maybe getting at. In the very opening of the film, we get a really long and it reminded me of the pie scene from Ghost Story, with this one scene where it's just very long. It's just title to black, where it says the name of the film, The Zone of Interest, and it slowly fades to black, and we hold on this music, and it sounds sort of how do you call it? There's 2 layers to this. There's a separation of like audio of people's voices with music trickled over, and the notes. I love how the notes sort of they don't particularly rise per se, because it doesn't sound like the music's rising, but the notes change drastically, but not in a rising wave that makes sense. I guess it's something you have to listen to, and we stay on that frame for quite a while, actually. So this reminds me of the Ghost Story scene, the pie eating scene in Ghost Story, where we stay on the wife after losing the husband, right? Eating the pie for quite a long time, and for a few audiences, this scene's like, why do we need this? This is ridiculous. This is so pretentious. I can totally see people saying that about this film. It feels a little bit pretentious, or like, why do we have to stay on these shots so fucking long? I liked it, but I could totally see it being a gripe with the film. Like, it's too long. It's long. Can we move on, please? My friend mentioned this, and I appreciate this input about the score, and that the score felt half-assed, or it didn't feel consecutive, right? It was sort of, how do you call what would be the word that I'm trying to remember how he described it. That it was no effort was made. Maybe they winged it. That they just would clank instruments together. Like, it doesn't sound like they really tried to make it sound cohesive. To, the instruments are complementing each other. The notes, like, this was written on a sheet, and the notes are this way. They're intended to. Like, maybe it was just sort of strung together in this awfully haphazard way that the film that it is. Which I appreciate. I appreciate his insight on that, because I didn't catch it. But I'm from further, like, sort of self-examination. Yeah, it makes sense. I can see where he's getting from. But like the score, it didn't work for me, and how it just sounds, it is odd and jarring. It's not, definitely not a please. I guess the only track that was sort of nice is that opening establishing track. Because like I said, it's like 2 layers. One's the voices, and there's like a second layer of actual instrumentation, and that actual instrumentation is what, sort of is nice to listen to, right? It doesn't sound, it sounds intentional, like how the notes are playing off of each other and they don't particularly rise, but they're rather very distinctively punching away from the other note previous, if that makes sense. That's kind of all the thoughts I think I have at the moment. I had something in my head with the mom, with the wife, and the mother scene. It had it, and it's gone. A gripe with the film, we don't get much setting change. Besides the part when the husband leaves, that was kind of nice. I liked it, like, we got a little bit of a different setting change. Although it wasn't all that exciting, still, and it's like during the winter. It's still sort of, buildings looking bleak and depressing and nothing too exciting. It's not the film, right, to give you like fun visuals in terms of like changing the setting drastically. I just remembered, so I guess this is the last thing I have to say with the film, is the husband, he takes up, he cheats on the wife, right? But it's a very secret, so there's a scene where he's on the phone with somebody, and he has a woman come into his office, and just directs her, sit on the chair over there, and she does, and she takes her shoes off, throws her bag down. She even roughs her hair up a bit, as if to prepare for whatever sex thing is about to occur. I like when he's on the phone talking to whoever it was he was talking to. He's looking up, he's looking back at her, and he sort of, he looks like he's looking down towards her feet as she's taking off her shoes. I like that little detail there. And then after that scene, we cut away from it. He's wandering down these tunnels and underground, and it's like, so like, you have this secret illicit sexual, what would be the word, twist, frisk, this kind of brief thing. And I guess the lady was Jewish too, perhaps, and then he's going under these secret tunnels, to this washroom that's down there, and he washes his genitals, right? And we see him, he does, like, takes a rag, and he deliberately washes his genitals of what he has just used them for. And I like that scene, how it's secret, secret in the room, and then it's secret going down. And I didn't catch this detail, or this sort of implied detail, my friend did, which is that in the next establishing shot after he watches himself, when he's walking through the halls again, he's back at his house, and he mentions this, like, for him it sort of implies that the tunnels are underneath his house potentially, right? So anytime that he wants, he can go underground in these tunnels and do this sort of CD activity. He can have his way in the office. He doesn't have to be seen leaving the room or like in proximity to this person that just was in there, right? He can go to these tunnels, come down, back to the house, and not be seen on the surface, having traversed through. And I like that my friend caught that, and I didn't catch that, but he caught that little detail there, that it sort of implied that maybe the tunnels are underneath his house, and so when he's walking, when he's coming back from the office, I don't have to walk on the surface, I can just go under. Another little scene, kind of the last scene, because I probably can go on for far too long just giving thoughts on certain scenes that I liked. When he's in the water, I'll make this the last one, where he's fishing, the kids are playing off behind him a little further back, and there's this soot that suddenly starts to encroach on him. And I also like how pale he looks in this scene too when he's in the water. He just looks so fair-skinned on the backdrop of the water. But anyway, this soot starts coming down towards him while he's in the water, and he feels something hit his foot, and so he goes to like kind of fiddle with his foot down there, and lo and behold, it's a fucking it's a fucking like jaw, or like a bone. It's a bone of a human being, right? And oh my goodness, he gets immediately startled by this, and he runs, like tells the kid, like, get out of the water, get out. And they do that. They get out. They took a canoe to get to this spot, wherever they are at the river, this spot, whatever. at the river here, and because like in the film, I think the boat's given to the father for his birthday, so maybe something he enjoys. He enjoys canoeing, he enjoys the water, traversing it like this. Um, the kids are being washed vigorously by the help of the home, and they're telling them, hey, close your eyes, don't let the soap get into your eyes, okay? And they're washing them very vigorously. Yeah, overall, I did enjoy the film. I liked it. It's a slow burn. It's definitely a slow burn. It's I don't want to say jarring. Just it can definitely be boring. I can definitely see someone being bored. Like, I'll say this: I wouldn't watch it again. At least not probably not intentionally or anytime soon for sure. Just no need. Towards the end of the film, where they show the scenes of real Auschwitz, right, and the workers going in to clean the actual camp itself, the museum now, basically, because now it's a museum where they show all the shoes on display, the pictures of people, and the long hallway were just pictures of people. The one scene where they go in and it's fucking like amputees, arms, crutches, braces, things that people would have had on their person to help with some sort of physical disability, right? That scene was I guess I think I told my friend this. I feel like that scene was maybe towards the hit home of, like, the operations. All right, what you just saw when they're talking to operations, right? These came into fruition. This happened and it was horrific, and and now this year we just are left with mementos of that, right? I guess maybe that's what the film's getting at. I'm curious to see what other people have to say about this film. My friend didn't like it. They said it was boring. They said that it didn't feel like a climax. Like they will have interesting storylines, interesting plots that would come into fruition, but they wouldn't resolve them. They wouldn't finish them. They'll come. And that was interesting. Why don't we elaborate more on that? Or like, hey, the dynamic between these two seemed like maybe there was something more there. Why couldn't we have taken and kind of explore that a little bit? And that's 100% valid. I think I can see where you're getting from at that we have these little oods, if that's even a word, right? These little appetites of interest, of zones of interest. Maybe it's like that's why the film's called the way it is, actually. Like, literally. Yeah, we just have these little zones of interest, and they don't lead anywhere. Like, and that's not like what my friend said. It didn't lead anywhere. Where's the climax in this? He gets the promotion, he goes back, and he just starts killing people. Nothing changes. The husband is kind of absent in this film, and I think it highlights that when the wife is talking to the mother, she mentions this. He's buried in his work. He's always working, even when he's at the house. He's working. And we see that when the husband leaves and we get the shots of the home, they don't seem all that different from when he was there versus not, besides the wife being alone in the bed, which is the only time that he ever kind of like sees his wife, basically, is like in the bedroom when they're talking to one another. And he even says, like, hey, remember when we went to, like, Italy and we saw, like, the guy was playing the accordion for the cows and the cows were looking at him and we had that lovely couple. Like, hey, when can we do that again? When can we have a vacation into ourselves? And he says, he's promised her, yeah, I'll take you back there. And she's like, okay, well, when? And he says, I don't know, but I'll take you back there. Don't worry about it, right? I like that little side-by-side comparison of her life. And in the beginning of the film, we get, like, the wife's like how her day is. Her husband leaves, okay, she's back at the house, and like how her day goes, basically, like what she's doing throughout the day. How boring and monotonous it can probably definitely feel. It's I did like that little feature of the film there, where it's how do you call he leaves and when we get back to the shots, cutting back to where the wife in the house, and it's just the same boring, monotonous routine. And besides the fact that when I go to sleep in my bedroom, it's a little, I'm all alone here, but like, is it all that different otherwise? I see a fire truck behind me and it's lit up for some reason. That's interesting. It's actually driving right past. That's cool. Yeah, so overall, the film, it's okay. I liked it. I can totally see why people don't like it, though. And I feel like that's 100% valid. It is, how do you call, it's definitely, it's definitely not perfect. Let's say that. It's definitely not perfect. It could have been being a bit more interesting, like my friend said. Maybe they could have elaborated more on certain elements. Zone of interest, I'll give it a, I guess I'll give it the same as Argyle. Another film I thought 3 out of 5. And I don't know, maybe like 2 out of 5. Maybe 2 is more appropriate, or for an okay film. What's an okay film, right? Because it's an odd number, and I guess it's whatever, however okay you think it is. So actually, maybe we'll get 2 out of 3, 2 out of 5, rather. Sorry, 2 out of 5 stars, because I think it's I don't even know if I'd play it as a thought-provoking piece. I mean, it wasn't for me, it wasn't for my friend, and certainly it's I think it's a film that it's a gripe, but people that will come in to see this film, I don't feel like I've had a good go of my 2 hours or whatever, how long the film is. I feel like I've kind of lost a little of my time. Yeah. If you are to listen to this, thank you.